I've got the surface to quite a fine finish with sandpaper. And now is the time to put my hole through. It looks beautiful on its own, but I think it's something about the hole, the space, that's going to really bring this alive. So just going back to my original model, this is now a totally different shape. And I had a smaller hole at the back and a bigger one at the front, or what was going to be a bigger hole at the front. But what I'm thinking now is somewhere here is going to be a smaller hole, like that, and it'll come through at an angle and come out somewhere where that knot is there, something like that. And this can be a bigger hole at the back here. So before having decided that, before I actually before I drill it through with my drill, what I'm going to do is just cut away some of that wood with my chisel here, my gouge, so that it doesn't burst out when I start drilling. So a little bit of cut in there and at the back here, and then I can go through. There's nothing to stop you going right the way through just with your carving tools, and that might well be, especially on the bigger pieces, what Barbara Hepworth did. I don't actually know, but it makes a lot of sense to use a drill. So this is a starting hole, so when I put my drill in, it won't bounce out. So I'm going to make this on both sides. Not too big. I don't know what the size of this hole is going to be. I'm very much going to see what it looks like as we go along. So here's the start of the hole at the other side. As long as my drill bit comes through something like that, I'm going to be fine, because this is going to be expanded. So now I've sort of set that up, I can make the hole, and I'm using a I don't know what you call this bit, but it's one of those and it has a little thread at the top that helps pull it through and support itself as it goes in. So I need quite a long one to go all the way through, basically on my power drill, and I'm just going to go straight through, but I'm going to ask Carrie to help line that up from an outside point of view as I do it. I think that's quite important. It's quite difficult from your own point of view to get this right, because you can't see both sides at once, so having somebody else to help is going to be quite useful. You might have noticed that there's a bit of a wobble on this drill bit. That's because of its age. It's not quite as true as it used to be. But still, here I am through. I'm quite excited about that hole. It's a good direction. So the next step now is to have this on its side so that I can start cleaning out this hole with gouges, making more of that space as it passes through the form. Although I've drawn, or rather scribbled, a sort of rough circle here, I'm not going to let that be my guide. I'm going to very much let the tools and the shape dictate what's going on. This edge here is now a new edge in the way that we had edges on the main form. So this line here will be a very important line as it goes around. Now as we carve, because the grain is going in this direction like a pencil, it's certainly easier to cut this way up the hole like that. I can cut here for a while as I fill that out, but it's going to be more and more across the grain, and eventually I'm going to have to be working a bit against the grain unless I come from the other side. So all a bit of fun, see what happens, and I'm just going to keep working working till I get the sort of shapes I want. This doesn't have to be a straight hole. It can be slightly bent. It really doesn't matter. It's what you feel, or what I feel, right in this particular shape. So I've used my gouges to work the shape inside here as best I can. What's interesting to me sculpturally is how the whole thing has changed. We now have, instead of a self-contained form, we have a form that sort of invites us in a little bit. And you can see on the other side here, if I move this round, it's a bigger hole here and much more of a cave-like quality here. And now we have not only a new surface here inside to deal with, but we also have new edges. And in Hepworth sculpture, quite often this top line, where it's coming in here, doesn't go in a straight line. The top edge here actually curves and it meets in a bit of a sort of a crest between the two coming in. And I think that's probably because that's an easy way of carving, but also because it creates a second little ridge inside, which is just up here. You won't be able to see it. Anyway, this isn't the final surface here, and the final edge rather. I've kept short of what I think I want because I'm now about to sort of work on the inside and I could damage that. So what I'm going to do is use things like, this is a microplane and this top bit comes off, so we can feed this up here. There's a surform, which is a version of that, or just basic rasps, rifflers that you can get in. So this sort of thing, we're going to really work this surface back to a smooth surface that's tactile, so you will be able to feel that and coming out to a really nice edge. From the bigger rifflers, I've moved to a smaller, tighter, finer riffler that will work that surface over. So I'm working up to the edge. And what I don't want is that edge to, sort of just flop over. I want there to be a nice change of plane here, and the same here, nice change, not some sort of rolled edge. So I'll work that like that, feel the tactile quality of it. Then I will use scrapers. So here's a couple of scrapers that I've got that I can use to pull shavings off, like so. If you don't have a scraper like this one, which is made, and there's details of it, you can use a knife blade. This is an old file that I've changed into a scraper, but a really sharp knife blade with a curve will probably do that just as well. You need to keep resharpening it, but you can see that's coming off as shavings. So I'd run over that first, and then it's into sanding. And to keep that curve, I would use a dowel, something like this, keep the flat surface, or a finer one, like this one. And get that surface packed under the same sort of finish as this. It's all a cross grain, so it won't be as smooth as this side bit, but certainly you can get it to show this grain pattern. Alternatively, you could in fact create gouge marks along here or something like that. You can make some sort of texture in here. There's no hard and fast rule, but the important thing is to be in control of that and make sure as you look through that the whole is really pleasing as you look through it. So it's got to work from both ends. It's taken me a long time to do this surface in here. Here it is on the other side, coming through to here. But the thing is that this edge and this surface here is as important as this surface here. So it's really crucial that you tune these lines here at this point. Now is your time to really finish this off, get this very smooth and feel it. Feel the surface. People will do that. They'll feel the surface of your carving, and any sort of undulations or rough patches that will show out. So I've gone at the moment to 120 grit, but now I'm going to go to 180 on the surface, on this surface and in here, and then I will use a wet cloth and actually raise the grain a little bit like so. Which is interesting, you can see the colour coming out now. And when I've done that, I'll go back up to, say, 220 grit, and then final finish off at something like 320. So it's a very fine finish. So now I'm working this whole thing into a finish. Remember, check your lines, check your surfaces, check how these junctions and everything works.